the alien princess sent her guards away for him alone. It had been months since humanity had ventured so far from Earth, but the reports about Zarinthia, its floating cities, its ancient technology, and most of all its mysterious ruling class, had drawn him like a moth to a flame. He had flown countless missions, explored countless worlds, yet something about this system felt different. Alive, even. Elia's fingers traced the edge of the console as a soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The ship's sensors had picked up a massive structure above the largest planet. Its shape was unlike anything he had ever seen. Towers curved elegantly upward, intertwining with one another like living vines. The palace seemed almost weightless, hovering silently above the planet's crystalline surface. Energy streams danced around it, faintly illuminating the atmosphere like ribbons of color. "Lieutenant," Elias called. His voice echoed through the bridge. "Mark it on the charts." "That's our destination." The lieutenant's fingers flew over the controls, recording the coordinates. "Aye, sir, it's huge. I've never seen anything like it. It's alive almost." "Alive is exactly the word," Elias said, his eyes fixed on the palace. "And I intend to find out why." The ship descended, careful not to trigger the faint but visible force fields surrounding the palace. The air grew warmer as they approached, and strange vibrations ran through the hull. Elias felt a thrill that he hadn't felt in years, a mixture of danger and wonder. When the Aurora landed on a nearby platform, the doors opened to reveal a courtyard filled with alien flora that glowed faintly in the twilight. The plants seemed to respond to their presence, petals opening and closing in slow, deliberate movements. Elias stepped out first, boots touching the smooth crystal ground. He glanced at his crew, who followed him cautiously. "I've seen advanced civilizations," he said quietly, "but nothing like this." As they approached the palace gates, a soft chime resonated in the air, though there was no visible source. A doorway opened before them, revealing a grand hallway that stretched farther than the eye could see. Walls shimmered with iridescent colors, shifting subtly as if alive. Light reflected off the floor, creating patterns that danced like fire. Then from the shadows of the hall, a figure appeared. She moved with a grace that seemed effortless, yet every step commanded attention. Her eyes were a deep violet, reflecting curiosity and intelligence, and her attire shimmered with colors that seemed to shift with her emotions. She was tall, slender, and undeniably regal. "I am Princess Lyra," she said, her voice melodic yet firm. "You are far from your world, human. State your purpose." Elias straightened. "Captain Elias Rowe of the Earth Exploration Fleet. We are explorers, not conquerors. We come in peace, seeking knowledge about your people and your world." Lyra studied him carefully. "Explorers, Ham. Curiosity can be dangerous or it can be enlightening. Few humans dare to come this far." Elias bowed slightly. "Some of us are driven by wonder more than caution, Princess." A flicker of amusement crossed her face. "You speak boldly." "Few of my people would dare such words, even among themselves. Follow me." She led them through hallways that seemed alive, doors appearing and disappearing at will. Holographic images floated in midair, showing histories, wars, and alliances that Elias struggled to comprehend. Every corner revealed wonders he had never imagined, artifacts that hummed with energy, gardens that floated midair, and libraries that extended beyond sight. Finally, they arrived in a chamber that radiated warmth. Lyra gestured for them to sit. "I should warn you," she said, "my guards are rarely absent. They protect this palace against threats that humans cannot even begin to imagine." Elias' brow furrowed. "Where are they, then?" Lyra's gaze softened, though a hint of tension remained. "I sent them away." "For you, human," Elias blinked. "For me." "For you alone," she confirmed. "No one else is present. I must know who dares to enter my world and why. I must see whether your kind is worthy of trust." The words hung in the air. The realization that he was alone with a princess, unprotected by alien guards, could have been intimidating, but Elias felt a strange calm. There was honesty in her eyes and curiosity that mirrored his own. "I do not take your trust lightly," he said. "I will not betray it." Lyra nodded, studying him carefully. "We shall see." Over the next few hours, she showed them parts of the palace that were usually off-limits. Elias marveled at the alien architecture, noting how the walls seemed to breathe and shimmer with light. He touched one of the surfaces, and the wall responded, forming a map of the galaxy in delicate lines of light. Lyra watched him with fascination as he tried to interpret the alien script, slowly understanding the connections between their worlds. "You humans are different," she said softly. "Your minds approach problems not with order or hierarchy but with creativity. You see possibilities where my people see limits." Elias smiled. "That's how we survive, and why we explore, we adapt, we improvise." She seemed to consider this, stepping closer to a window overlooking the planet below. "I have lived in this palace all my life. I have never met anyone who could challenge my expectations so directly." The palace trembled suddenly, a low hum reverberating through the floors. Alarmed, Elias glanced at the sensors in his suit. "Something's happening. Your palace, it's reacting to us." Lyra's eyes narrowed, but her expression remained calm. "It has sensed you. The palace is alive in ways you do not yet understand. It reacts to intent, to emotions, to connection." As if on cue, a portion of the floor shifted, revealing a hidden platform. Lyra gestured for Elias to step forward. "Come. You may be the first human ever to walk this path. The palace will decide if you belong." Elias took a cautious step, feeling the surface hum beneath his feet. Light streams crisscrossed under the translucent platform, illuminating symbols that glowed brighter as he moved. It was both terrifying and exhilarating. The platform carried him upward, giving him a view of the palace that was unlike anything he had seen. He could see entire gardens floating in midair, crystal towers spiraling endlessly, and streams of energy connecting them. "You trust me?" Lyra asked softly from beside him. "I trust what I see," he replied, "and I trust you." Her smile was brief, but it held a world of meaning. "Then proceed." The platform reached a chamber that shimmered with 1,000 colors. At its center, a large crystalline structure pulsed with energy. Lyra placed a hand on it and the light responded, flowing like water toward Elias. The air filled with a soft resonance, and he felt a connection to the palace itself, as if it recognized him. "This is the heart of the palace," Lyra explained. "It chooses who may enter, who may learn, and who may leave safely. It tests not strength or skill, but intention. Courage, honesty, curiosity, these are what it values." Elias stepped closer, feeling the energy coursing through him. It was exhilarating, almost overwhelming, yet he remained steady. He understood then that this was not just a test of the palace, it was a test of him. Lyra's gaze met his. "You are brave, human, brave enough to come this far, brave enough to face the unknown." "I am nothing without my curiosity," he said simply, "and without trust from those who guide me." Her hand brushed the crystal, and the energy pulsed brighter, as if acknowledging his words. "Perhaps you are worthy of more than observation," she said quietly. "Perhaps you may become a part of this world if you choose." Elias felt a thrill, tempered by the weight of responsibility. He had come seeking knowledge, yet he realized he had stumbled into something far greater, a chance to forge a bond across worlds, to show humanity's strength not through weapons, but through courage, trust, and understanding. Lyra led him back toward the main hall. "We will speak more," she said, "but for now, rest. You have earned it. The palace will protect you for the moment. Tomorrow, your journey truly begins." As Elias lay in the chamber prepared for him, he stared out at the alien horizon. Floating cities shimmered in the distance, and the twin moons of Zarinthia cast silver light over the crystalline planet below. He thought of Lyra, and of the strange connection that had formed in so little time. A princess had sent her guards away, an unheard-of act in her empire for him alone. The thought should have been overwhelming, even terrifying. Instead, it filled him with determination. Humanity had always faced the unknown with courage, and here, far from Earth, that courage had been recognized. Here, he could prove that humans were more than just explorers. They were allies, friends, and perhaps something even greater. Tomorrow, he would learn what it truly meant to earn the trust of a civilization far older and wiser than his own. But tonight, he allowed himself a rare moment of peace. The stars shone brightly above, the palace hummed softly beneath him, and somewhere in the halls, Princess Lyra watched, wondering if this human would be the one to change everything. And for the first time in centuries, the palace waited, not in caution, not in fear, but with hope. The morning light on Zarinthia glowed like liquid silver, spilling across the crystalline gardens of the palace. Captain Elia's row awoke with a sense of anticipation that had nothing to do with the luxury around him. The night had been quiet, but it had carried the weight of possibilities. He rose, stretching, and walked to the window, staring down at the floating gardens below. Each plant shimmered with its own light, and delicate streams of energy connected the platforms like threads of living silk. The door slid open silently, revealing Princess Lyra. She moved with her usual elegance, but this morning there was a flicker of excitement in her eyes. "Good morning," she said softly. "I hope you slept well." Elias turned, offering a small smile. "Better than I have in months. The palace, it's alive in ways I never imagined." Lyra stepped closer, glancing out at the horizon. "It responds to those who walk its halls. It learns from them. It judges them, not by strength but by intention." Elias nodded thoughtfully. "I felt that last night when I touched the heart of the palace. It wasn't testing me for my courage or skill, it was testing whether I could be trusted." "Exactly," she said. "And it seems you passed." He felt a mix of pride and unease. Passing a test was one thing, earning the trust of a civilization centuries older than his own was another. Yet there was no time to dwell on doubts. The palace and the princess awaited. Lyra gestured for him to follow. "Today, I will show you the parts of Zarinthia that most of my people never see. The gardens are only the beginning. Come, I want you to understand my world and perhaps understand me." They walked through corridors that glimmered faintly in response to their presence. Light rippled along the walls, forming patterns that seemed to narrate stories from centuries past. Elias could not help but marvel at the subtlety of their civilization. Every detail had a purpose, every movement was considered, yet nothing felt rigid. The Zarinthians had mastered balance between beauty and function, tradition and curiosity. "You humans," Lyra began, pausing as they entered a chamber filled with floating holograms of planets and stars. "You are unpredictable, your creativity is unmatched. You see possibilities where my people see rules." Elias smiled. "That's how we survive, we improvise, we adapt. We learn quickly because we must." Lyra studied him for a long moment. "And yet you are calm even in the face of the unknown. Most humans I have observed panic or fight without understanding. You consider." "I've had practice," Elias said, trying to keep his voice light. "The universe doesn't reward hasty decisions." Her gaze softened. "Perhaps your species has more to teach my people than I realized. I have lived all my life in caution. I have never allowed myself to wonder what lies beyond the rules." As they continued through the palace, Lyra showed Elias hidden pathways, rooms filled with knowledge, and artifacts that had been carefully preserved for centuries. Some items seemed almost magical objects that emitted energy in response to touch, machines that responded to thought, and chambers that appeared to shift and rearrange themselves. "You have my trust," Lyra said finally, pausing before a door that pulsed with energy. "But that trust is fragile. I must know that you respect it. You must understand my people, my world, and the responsibilities I carry. Only then can you walk freely here." Elias nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "I will respect it, I promise." The door slid open, revealing a vast laboratory filled with equipment that Elias could barely comprehend. Crystalline conduits hummed with energy, projecting light and motion in mesmerizing patterns. Lyra moved confidently among the instruments, touching them lightly to activate displays and controls. "This," she said, "is where we study our world and the stars beyond. Most of my people never enter here. It is a place of curiosity and caution." Elias stepped forward, examining a device that projected a three-dimensional map of the Zarinthian system. "Incredible," he whispered. "The level of knowledge here, it's centuries ahead of Earth. How do you manage it all?" Lyra smiled faintly. "We are disciplined, yes. But knowledge alone is not enough. It is intention that guides us. Without intention, knowledge becomes dangerous." As Elias studied the displays, he realized the depth of what she was saying. This was not merely a civilization with advanced technology. It was a civilization that had learned to live in harmony with it, to respect the power it held. And yet, there was a tension in Lyra's words, a hint of frustration. "You doubt," he said gently. She looked at him sharply, but there was no anger, only honesty. "I doubt because I have been taught to doubt. To trust too easily is to invite disaster. I have never trusted a human before." "Perhaps I am learning." Her voice trailed off, and for a moment, Elias saw the vulnerability she rarely showed. He stepped closer. "Then let me help you learn. Let me show you that humans can be trusted, not because we are perfect, but because we try, because we care." Lyra studied him, her violet eyes searching his face. Then slowly, she nodded. "Perhaps." They spent the day moving through different parts of the palace. Elias helped her repair a failing energy conduit using a combination of human ingenuity and improvised tools. Lyra watched in fascination as he adapted to the alien technology, solving problems in ways that defied her expectations. "You are remarkable," she said finally, leaning against the glowing wall. "I did not expect this, not from any human." Elias shrugged. "We're not always what we seem, and neither are you, princess. You're not just a leader or a symbol, you're curious, brave, willing to risk more than most would dare." Lyra looked away, her expression unreadable. "It is dangerous to speak so freely." "My words could be used against me. My people would see it as weakness." "Or as wisdom," Elias replied. "Sometimes showing your humanity, your true self, is the strongest act there is." For a long moment they stood in silence, the hum of the palace filling the air. It was a quiet intimacy, one that needed no words yet spoke volumes. Elias felt a connection growing, not just with Lyra but with her world. It was a fragile bond, yet it was real, built on trust, respect, and the shared wonder of discovery. Suddenly, a soft alarm echoed through the palace, barely audible but sharp enough to catch their attention. Lyra's eyes widened. "It seems the factions in my empire have discovered your presence. They are opposed to your being here." Elias' heart quickened. "What do we do?" Lyra's expression hardened, but her voice remained steady. "We do not hide. We adapt. We use the palace itself. It will respond to us as it has responded to you, and we will see who truly belongs here." Together, they moved to a command chamber filled with panels and glowing interfaces. Lyra guided Elias through the controls, showing him how to manipulate the palace's energy streams. It was complex, but Elias' human intuition allowed him to understand patterns quickly, improvising solutions that even Lyra had not considered. The first intruders arrived, elite soldiers of her empire, clad in armor that shimmered with energy. They moved with precision, expecting to overwhelm anyone in their path. Yet Elias and Lyra, working together, turned the palace itself against them. Floors shifted, walls responded, and energy streams formed barriers and pathways that confused and trapped the intruders. Elias moved with quick thinking, using the palace's responsiveness to outmaneuver the soldiers. Lyra used her authority and knowledge of the hidden passages to guide him, ensuring they remained one step ahead. Every move required trust and coordination. Every decision highlighted the contrast between human creativity and alien discipline, and how the combination could overcome even the most formidable challenges. When the intruders were finally trapped, Lyra deactivated the energy barriers. The soldiers, though not harmed, were rendered powerless. They stared at the pair with a mixture of anger and awe. "This is unprecedented," one muttered. Lyra turned to Elias, a faint smile breaking through her usual composure. "You see," she said, "even my people must learn that strength is not only in weapons or rules. Sometimes it is in collaboration, trust, and courage." Elias nodded, breathing heavily from the exertion. "You've made your point, Princess, but this could have gone very differently." "It could," she admitted. "But now my empire must see that humans are not merely curiosities. They are allies, perhaps more." The palace, sensing the resolution, hummed softly as if acknowledging their bond. Elias looked around, marveling at the living architecture that had protected them both. And in that moment, he realized the depth of what had begun. Not just a friendship, but a bridge between worlds, fragile yet unbreakable. Lyra turned to him, her expression both serious and soft. "I have sent my guards away for you alone," she said quietly. "It was a dangerous choice, but I trust you, and I hope in time you will trust me in return." Elias stepped closer, meeting her gaze. "I do trust you, and I will do everything I can to honor that trust. You have nothing to fear from me." For the first time, Lyra allowed herself a small, genuine smile. "Then let us see where this trust leads." The day ended with the two standing on a balcony, overlooking the crystalline plains of Zarinthia. Floating gardens glimmered in the moonlight, and distant cities pulsed with energy. It was a view that few humans had ever seen, and Elias felt the weight of the privilege. "You know," he said quietly, "I never imagined that coming here would mean more than exploration. I thought I'd see wonders, not form a bond with the ruler of a civilization." Lyra looked at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Wonders are not only in places or objects, human. Sometimes they are in the connections we make, and perhaps this is the greatest wonder of all." Elias nodded, understanding. Trust, courage, and understanding were building something new, not just between them, but between their species. Humanity had taken its first true step into a world far beyond Earth, not through weapons or conquest, but through curiosity, ingenuity, and heart. And for the first time, Lyra allowed herself to hope, not for her empire, not for tradition, but for something extraordinary that could exist between two very different worlds. As night deepened, Elias stood beside her, feeling the hum of the palace beneath them, and the quiet thrill of knowing that their journey together had only just begun. The palace was alive in a way that Elias had never experienced before. Every wall, floor, and ceiling seemed to breathe with energy, responding to Lyra and him as if it understood their intentions. Yet, beneath the calm beauty, tension lingered. Rumors from the Empire had reached Lyra. Factions opposed to her curiosity about humans were gathering strength. They would not allow Elias to remain without challenge. The morning began quietly, but Elias sensed the unease in Lyra's movements. She led him through the palace corridors toward a strategy room, her expression focused and sharp. "They are mobilizing," she said. "The factions cannot accept your presence. They will test us." Elias glanced at the flowing lines of energy under the floor. "Then we'll show them what humans can do together." Lyra allowed a faint smile, though worry lingered in her violet eyes. "Do not underestimate them. They are disciplined and dangerous. You may be human, but your ingenuity will be our only advantage." They entered the strategy room, walls filled with holographic maps of the palace and surrounding airspace. Aliens of her empire, clad in energy-infused armor, were approaching from multiple directions. The palace itself, sensing the incoming threat, pulsed with energy and anticipation. "This palace reacts to emotion and intent," Lyra explained. "It will aid those it trusts. We must act in harmony with it, or we risk disaster." Elias studied the maps, tracing paths that could confuse and redirect the intruders. "We'll need to divide their forces," he said. "Draw them into corridors where we can control movement. Use the palace itself as our ally." Lyra nodded. "I will control the internal defenses. You guide our movements in real time. Trust in the palace and trust in me." Hours passed as they prepared. Elias learned to interpret the subtle pulses of energy that signaled the palace's awareness, and Lyra coordinated the internal structures to shift, creating pathways, barriers, and traps. Their movements were fluid, synchronized. It was a dance of strategy and intuition, human ingenuity combined with alien precision. The first wave arrived, a squad of elite soldiers descending from floating platforms outside the palace. They expected an easy entry, yet found themselves met with shifting floors, unexpected energy fields, and corridors that seemed to move on their own. Elias shouted directions, pointing to emerging barriers. "Left corridor, quick! Energy field rising." Lyra manipulated panels that responded to thought and touch. "Now, redirect the streams. Close the access points." The soldiers moved with discipline, yet the palace's reactions and Elias' improvisation kept them off balance. A pathway would open, only for the floor to shift beneath their feet. Walls seemed to pulse in response, redirecting their energy attacks harmlessly away. As they fought, Elias realized that the palace was not only defending them, it was testing their coordination, judging how well they could work together under pressure. Each successful maneuver strengthened the bond between human and alien, showing Lyra that he could be trusted in ways her people might never understand. One soldier advanced too quickly, triggering an energy barrier that lifted him off the floor. He struggled, shouting commands, but the palace held firm. Elias stepped forward, offering a calm voice. "Stay still. You are not our enemy, but the palace will not harm you if you yield." The soldier hesitated, then lowered his weapon, realizing the futility. Elias' calm confidence, his willingness to act with mercy, seemed to resonate with the palace itself. Lyra observed silently, pride and wonder in her expression. The battle continued for hours. Each wave of intruders was met with creative strategies, improvised tactics, and precise control of the palace's shifting corridors. Lyra's understanding of her home combined with Elias' unpredictable human thinking created a synergy no one had anticipated. Finally, the intruders' commander arrived, a tall figure whose armor pulsed with deep crimson energy. "Princess Lyra," he said, his voice carrying authority, "surrender the human. Your fascination with them endangers everything." Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "He is no threat, he is a guest, and I will not surrender him or my trust in him." The commander's eyes narrowed. "You defy your empire." "And I will continue to do so," Lyra replied, "because we must evolve. Fear alone does not protect us. Curiosity, courage, and understanding do." The commander raised his weapon, energy crackling around him. But before he could strike, Elias moved, predicting the next shift in the palace's energy. Using a combination of quick thinking and improvisation, he redirected the energy streams, creating a barrier that deflected the attack harmlessly. Lyra activated the palace's defenses fully, sealing the corridors and separating the commander from his soldiers. The palace pulsed with approval, recognizing the trust and cooperation between human and princess. The commander realized his plans were useless. He lowered his weapon, his expression a mixture of anger and awe. "You are extraordinary," he muttered. "Both of you." Lyra turned to Elias, a faint smile breaking her usual composure. "Do you see?" she said softly. "Even my own people must learn that strength is not only in weapons or rules. Sometimes it is in courage, trust, and understanding." Elias exhaled, feeling both relief and exhilaration. "We made it through, together." "Yes," Lyra agreed, "together. And perhaps this is the lesson my empire must learn, that humans are not merely curiosities but allies." The intruders, now contained, had no choice but to withdraw. The palace's energy returned to its usual calm hum, and the halls shimmered in quiet approval. Elias and Lyra moved to the balcony, overlooking the crystalline plains of Zarinthia. The floating cities glimmered, bathed in the fading light of the twin moons. "You know," Elias said quietly, "I never imagined that humans could make such a difference here. I thought we'd explore, gather knowledge, not change the course of an empire." Lyra looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting the starlight. "You did more than survive. You showed my people and me that courage and intelligence are not bound to any single species. You demonstrated the potential of humanity." Elias felt a warmth in his chest, not pride but purpose. Humanity had always sought to reach beyond itself, to explore, to connect. Here, on a world so different and advanced, those qualities had been recognized, celebrated, and respected. Lyra placed her hand lightly on the balcony railing. "There will be challenges ahead. My empire will not change overnight, but today we have begun something new, something important." Elias nodded. "And I'll be here to see it through, if you'll have me." Her gaze softened. "I do not need guards to protect me when you are here," she said quietly. "Not just because of your skill, but because of your heart. That is a rare thing, human, and it is why you are here, with me, alone." The wind carried the hum of the palace, wrapping around them like a protective embrace. Elias could feel the pulse of the energy beneath his feet, the living rhythm of Zarinthia itself. It had recognized him, and through him, the possibilities of what humanity could bring to this world. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine a future beyond Earth, not as a conqueror, not as a visitor, but as a bridge between worlds. A bridge built on trust, courage, and collaboration. Lyra turned to him, a question in her eyes that needed no words. Elias understood it immediately. Could he stay? Could he continue to walk this path with her, facing the unknown together? "I will stay," he said softly. "As long as you'll have me." She nodded, a quiet understanding passing between them. It was a promise, unspoken but firm, that together they would navigate whatever came next. The palace shimmered around them, energy flowing through walls and floors in gentle waves. It was alive, yes, but it was more than that. It was aware, capable of judgment, and capable of trust. And in that awareness, it had recognized something extraordinary. A human, brave and clever, standing beside its princess, ready to face whatever the universe might throw at them. As night fell over Zarinthia, Elias and Lyra remained on the balcony, watching the twin moons reflect off the crystalline plains. Below, the empire moved in cautious preparation, but for the moment, peace reigned. They had survived the test, and in doing so had proven something far more important: that humanity, in its courage and ingenuity, could stand as equals among the stars. Lyra's voice broke the silence, soft and contemplative. "I have spent my life following rules, fearing the unknown. Today I learned something new about courage, about trust, and about the human heart." Elias smiled, feeling the weight of her words. "Then perhaps the palace was testing both of us. Not just me, not just you, but the possibility of what we could achieve together." Lyra nodded. "Yes, and that possibility is just beginning." They stood together, hand in hand, gazing at the horizon. Above them, the palace pulsed with gentle energy, alive and aware. Below, Zarinthia shimmered like a jewel in the void. And between them, the first true bridge between human and alien had been forged, not through power or conquest, but through trust, courage, and understanding. The night was long, but for Elias and Lyra, it was only the beginning. The morning light on Zarinthia spread across the floating cities like spilled silver. Captain Elias Rowe stood beside Princess Lyra on the balcony, gazing at the vast crystalline plains below. The air was alive with gentle energy, humming softly through the palace like a heartbeat. After the events of the previous days, Elias understood more than ever the strength of this world, and the delicate responsibility that came with his presence. Lyra's eyes were thoughtful, violet, and deep, reflecting both pride and uncertainty. "The Empire will not forget what has happened," she said softly. "Some will resist, some will question, and some will doubt. But a new path has begun, and it cannot be undone." Elias nodded. "Change is never easy, but you've shown courage. You've shown your people that trust and understanding can be stronger than fear." Her gaze fell on him, a quiet smile forming. "And you, human, have shown me something I never expected, not just your skill, but your heart. You have given me hope, and perhaps my empire as well." The palace shifted subtly beneath them, as if acknowledging the truth in her words. Its energy flowed around them, protective and attentive. The living architecture had tested them, judged them, and now seemed to approve. Elias felt it in his bones. This world, so alien, had recognized humanity's strength in ways that even its own people had not. "This is only the beginning," he said. "We've shown them what's possible together, but there is much more to do. You and I, we can lead that chain." Lyra's hand brushed against his, a gesture simple yet intimate. "I believe that, but it is not only my empire that must change. I must also change. I must learn to trust more openly, to embrace curiosity even when it frightens me." Elias met her gaze. "Then let us face that together. You will not be alone." The day passed with careful planning. Lyra summoned her advisors, those loyal to her vision, and showed them what had occurred. How the human had helped protect the palace, how their combined efforts had neutralized the threat without unnecessary violence. Some advisors nodded in reluctant admiration, others scowled, reluctant to accept that a human could influence the future of Zarinthia. One advisor, a tall figure with silver hair and sharp eyes, spoke finally. "Princess, the human is clever, yet he is unpredictable. Can we trust him?" Lyra's voice was calm but firm. "Trust is earned through action, not appearance, and he has earned mine. He has proven that courage, compassion, and ingenuity can match any technology, any tradition. We must accept that humans bring value we cannot ignore." Elias observed the exchange silently. He knew the path ahead would not be easy. Traditions die slowly, and fear often lingers longer than reason. Yet he also knew that the first and most important step had been taken. A bridge had been built, and it could not be broken. That evening, Lyra led Elias through the palace gardens, paths glowing with soft light under the twin moons. They walked quietly, the only sounds the hum of energy and the gentle rustling of alien flora. "You know," Lyra said softly, "I have lived my life with limits. Boundaries set by my people, by tradition, by fear. But you have shown me another way, one where trust is not weakness but strength." Elias smiled. "That's humanity in a nutshell. We survive by connecting, by understanding, by taking risks with each other. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails, but we try always." Lyra stopped at a viewing platform overlooking a crystal city floating in the distance. "I have always admired courage," she said. "But I never realized that true courage includes compassion, intelligence, and patience. You embody all of these." Elias felt warmth rise in his chest. "Then we are both learning. I have never met a ruler like you, someone willing to risk everything for trust and understanding. That is rare in any world." She looked at him, her gaze softening. "And yet here we are, two very different beings standing together. Perhaps the universe allows such meetings only once in a long while." For a long moment, they simply stood there, watching the city below, the streams of energy connecting towers and gardens. Elias felt a quiet thrill. Humanity had ventured far from Earth, yet here, far from home, it had been recognized not for conquest or strength, but for ingenuity, courage, and heart. Night deepened, and the palace hummed gently beneath them. Lyra turned to Elias, her expression serious yet tender. "There will be more challenges," she said. "Factions will resist, threats will arise, but now you have proven yourself. You have proven that humans are not merely visitors, they can be partners, allies, even friends." Elias nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "And I will stand beside you. Whatever comes, we face it together." The palace responded to their connection, energy streams pulsing in recognition. Elias realized that this living world was aware not only of their presence, but of their trust, their courage, and the potential of what they could achieve together. Days passed with careful diplomacy. Lyra used Elias' example to show her people the value of cooperation with humans. She held councils where he was present, demonstrating human ingenuity and problem-solving in real time. Advisors who had doubted were forced to acknowledge his skill, and slowly, acceptance grew. Elias, meanwhile, explored more of the palace and surrounding cities. He learned the ways of Zarinthian technology, discovering machines that responded to thought, energy fields that could be shaped by intention, and gardens that could grow and shift according to mood. Yet every discovery reinforced one truth: humanity's greatest strength was not technology, but mind, courage, and heart. Lyra accompanied him through every exploration, their bond deepening with each shared experience. They laughed, debated, and strategized together. The connection between them became undeniable, a quiet understanding that transcended words. One evening, as the twin moons rose high above the floating cities, Lyra and Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the crystalline plains. "You have changed my world," Lyra said softly. "Not by force, not by skill, but by showing me what is possible." "And you've changed mine," Elias replied. "You've shown me that humanity can be recognized, respected, and trusted in ways I never imagined. We've begun something extraordinary." Lyra looked at him, eyes shining. "The Empire may resist, but you have proven that a new era is possible, one where humans and Zarinthians work together, not apart." Elias reached for her hand. "Then we walk that path together, no matter what comes." The palace responded, energy flowing around them like a gentle embrace. Elias could feel it in his bones, the living heartbeat of Zarinthia, acknowledging the bond they had forged, not just with each other, but between two species. In the following days, Lyra began reforms, showing her people that trust, understanding, and collaboration were not weaknesses, but strengths. Humans were invited to share knowledge, to explore and contribute to the Empire. Factions that had opposed the alliance found themselves reconsidering as they saw tangible benefits: stability, innovation, and a future enriched by cooperation. Elias continued to stand beside Lyra, not as a visitor but as a partner, a friend, and a symbol of what humanity could offer. Together, they demonstrated that courage and intelligence, combined with empathy and trust, could reshape even the most rigid societies. One evening, after another long day of planning and discussion, Lyra led Elias to a quiet garden high above the city. Crystalline flowers glowed softly in the night, and streams of energy arched gracefully through the air. She turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "Do you realize what you have done?" she asked. "I think I do," Elias said. "We've shown that humans can be more than explorers. We can be allies, partners, friends. That's enough for me." Lyra smiled, a rare, genuine smile that reached her eyes. "No, it is more than enough. It is a beginning, and beginnings are precious." They walked through the garden in silence, the hum of energy and the glow of alien flora surrounding them. Elias understood that this was not just a place, not just a palace, not just a civilization. It was a testament to the possibilities of trust, courage, and understanding across worlds. As dawn approached, they returned to the balcony, watching the first light spill across the crystalline plains. The Empire had begun to awaken to a new reality, one in which humans were not outsiders, but participants in a shared future. Lyra placed her hand on Elias' shoulder. "This is only the start. There will be more trials, more challenges, more moments when we are tested, but now we know what is possible when we face them together." Elias looked at her, feeling a quiet determination settle within him. "Then we face them together. And we succeed together. Humanity will rise, not by conquest but by courage, by intelligence, and by heart, just as you have shown me, Princess. The palace pulsed in gentle approval beneath them, a living witness to a bond forged across galaxies. Below, Zarinthia shimmered with new possibility, and between them, human and princess, a connection had been made that would endure, one built on trust, courage, and the shared hope of a future where both their worlds could thrive. As the sun rose over the crystalline horizon, Elias and Lyra stood side by side, gazing at the dawn of a new era. The palace, the empire, and the stars themselves seemed to acknowledge what had been accomplished. Humanity had proven itself not through weapons, not through force, but through heart, ingenuity, and unwavering courage. And in that moment, Captain Elias Rowe understood something profound. The universe was vast, full of unknowns, but some connections, those forged in trust and understanding, were timeless. The Empire was watching, the future was waiting, and a human and an alien princess, united by respect and courage, were ready to meet it together. The alien princess sent her guards away for him alone.